Hey y'all, welcome to Cornbread and Roses. I'm Austin, your friendly neighborhood organizer, and I'm here tonight with Jason.
Hello, comrades.
And we have a guest tonight, AP.
Hello,
AP,
everyone.
why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is AP. I am the Emperor of Eternia, which is a micronation which is seeking independence, but is currently occupying territory inside of the United States. Our capital territory is in Alabama.
All right. Well, I'm sure I personally wouldn't mind moving there. With all that's going on in the world, especially the United States. And, y'all remember this is the most unprofessional podcast in the land. And we'll try to, see. Thank you for that. And we got so much to talk about this week. We have a couple weeks of legislation that went down. We've had a lot of protests going on. And yeah, we're going to just try to dig into it. Hopefully, we get to a few articles towards the end. And I don't know. I was thinking, let me see if I can get this to work. But, sharing a couple memes.
Situations.
To remind y'all, if the situation was hopeless, their propaganda would be unnecessary. That's something to think about, y'all. Let's see here, and in honor of this red bandana you see me wearing all the time. Difference between fake rednecks and real rednecks. Fake ones, well, for sure they got that Confederate flag, but you see the real ones over there, like Woody Guthrie rocking that "This Machine Kills Fascists" on his guitar. IWW, and solidarity amongst workers of all creeds, colors, religions, and what have you. So yeah, I'll do one more. Oh, extra bulla. Uncle Warren is here tonight saying hi. It's good to see you, dog. I've been inundated with stuff, but I will see you on your stream soon enough. It's always a pleasure to see them work. They do a good, excellent job of covering what you don't see in the mainstream media. So if you ever get a chance to check out Extra Bulla, please do. And let's do one more.
As well?
Yeah, if you look up Extra Bulla on YouTube, you will find them. They do about 3 shows a week, maybe even more sometimes. I like this one right here. We got Ken. I was hoping I could come over tonight to Barbie. Barbie, to do what? Ken, actually, to build horizontally organized networks of mutual aid to break our collective dependence on capitalist institutions. Shout out Ken. All right, Ken.
Class consciousness, Ken.
That's right.
There you go. I'd buy that toy.
There's a question on Jeopardy this week, or not Jeopardy, but Family Feud this week. What would you have to change to be more like Ken? And going smooth in the nether regions was one of the answers. Number 3, if I do recall correctly. And
okay.
Yeah. But
look out a lot more.
So that's so many memes out there, so little time. That's what's up. Alabama fella down in Mobile getting it done. I believe they had about 65 folks for a DSA meeting down there this past week or so. So outstanding work. Keep driving forward. And I believe they're trying to run for office too. So if you get a chance, check them out on TikTok. It's good to have you here. Thank you.
I was gonna say I follow them on TikTok. Very
Yeah. I'm gonna have to get on TikTok. I think like we're supposed to be doing social media shit, and yeah, like we don't really. So at some point, somebody's got to get the ball rolling, and it looks like that might be falling on my shoulders. So you might be seeing us pop up on TikTok here soon.
All the kids are on TikTok.
That's how it works. Nobody chooses to be on TikTok. You just eventually get sucked into it.
Oh, yeah. Well, it sounds a whole lot fucking better than Twitter.
Fair.
But this is the thing that I'm really proud of throughout the state that happened. We had a whole bunch of protests go down across the state on the 5th. I was honored to be a marshal at the one in Huntsville, and I got to set the pace and be at the front of, and we might show some video of protests up here in Huntsville. But there were also events in Florence, Alabama, Huntsville, Birmingham, Tuscaloosa, Dadeville, Auburn, Opelika, Montgomery, Evergreen, Dothan, and Mobile. And we had about 2,500 people in Huntsville alone. So it was pretty amazing. Things are just getting started. Make sure you show up to these things and connect with people, and also to push people to get to the next action, not just rallies and protests, but also what can be physically done other than those things, like building mutual aid networks, like building unions. We had a report back this week about a Huntsville Starbucks that is going to be having their vote for unionization on the 30th of this month. They've already got a super majority of folks, and the person doing it, they got it all done in about 2 weeks. They got hired there. They were there for a little bit. They listened to the workers. They broke down the propaganda against unions, people. They got people to sign cards, and they might be the group that breaks the 11,000 mark of unionized Starbucks workers. And I think that we have a good chance to get all these Starbucks around here unionized with the way things are going. But yeah. So that's just a few things, a few memes.
So that Starbucks worker, they came in like ready, like they knew they were trying to get stuff started. That's awesome.
Yes, they
Good things happen.
were well prepared and well motivated, and armed with the right information. They knew the things that the propaganda that's been filled in people's ears and heads over the years, and they knew how to break those things down and to combat those things. So, they've been saying, whatever horse shit for ever since the beginning of unionization in this country and the world. It's the same lies they say over and over again. But yeah. And yeah. So I think we're gonna jump on into. We might share some memes at the end too, because I love me a good meme. But we're going to jump into what happened in the Alabama legislature from April 1st through the 3rd. And of course, our resident legislative expert, Jason, is going to help lead us the way on this stuff. Something I noticed is the amount of, not just this week, but this past week or the week before, is so many pay raises for district attorneys and sheriffs, all both weeks, between like 5,000 up to 30,000, and expense accounts that will be turned into pay raises and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, what'd you take notice of this past couple weeks, Jay?
So, because we're the most professional podcast in the land, I didn't really prepare for last week's legislative achievements. I prepared for this week's legislative achievements, but I did notice a couple of things. The HB 166, sponsored by Lee Halsey and Helena, which requires local school boards to adopt a policy banning cell phones from bell to bell. It passed 79-15. We talked about that in the past. It's going to the Senate. And then my senator, Arthur Orr, who is also trying to put means testing on SNAP benefits, which will do nothing to save money and do everything to make it harder to access those benefits. Also got a bill through the Senate, SB 85, that would expand the pool of people who can claim a religious exemption from vaccines. So parents of K-12 students to college students, and allow them to do so without explanation.
It is sweet too, because we just hit like 600 measles cases across the country in 5-6 different states. Measles coming to you soon, folks.
Gotta pump the numbers up. The low numbers.
Rookie numbers. 600 is rookie numbers. That's right.
We can't let Texas beat us.
Right.
No.
Also, all of these little like raises for these little independent sheriffs and things like that, I'm kind of wondering what the historical precedent on that is. There like we do this every few years and it's kind of just a standard, or are they like, oh, the news cycle's crazy, maybe if we like all try and get our stuff in now, it's a little easier to sweep under the rug?
Maybe so. And then it's like it's weird that it's piecemeal. Like it's this county's sheriff and that county's sheriff, instead of a blanket, we're going to increase all the sheriff's pays. Like there's one bill, HB 430, that requires candidates for sheriff of Monroe County to be U.S. citizens and residents of the county over the age of 25, with at least 3 years of experience in law enforcement, but only for Monroe County.
Yeah.
Like surely if that's a requirement worth passing for Monroe County, like it just leads to this weird situation. I don't know.
I agree. Like, where's the standardization and consistency in these things? Yeah, it's piecemeal.
So if it's going to be patchwork like this, then those decisions should be made at the local level. And if it's not, the whole advantage of having it, like they often say, the whole advantage of not having home rule is that it's uniform. Like they wouldn't let Huntsville and Birmingham pass minimum wage laws because they said they didn't want piecemeal minimum wage laws. In Alabama, they wanted one uniform law for everybody to conform to. Like, okay, but only on that issue.
Yeah. Maybe they're just all crazy. Maybe that's what it is.
So I'm sure it boils down to what sheriff is politically connected, who knows the right legislators, who is a good old boy, can get their bill through the House and Senate. I'm sure that sort of thing plays a role.
My question is, like, are they salaried or do they get overtime like beat cops do and stuff? I saw a graphic the other day with the top paid officials of San Francisco, and like the top 10, 20 of them were all cops, and some of them were making in excess of $500,000 a year, which,
Wow.
yeah, as a sergeant, and I know San Francisco area is expensive, but I don't know. Seems pretty crazy when they're making over $500,000 a year. That seems wild as hell. I thought this was a little funny one right here. This HB 324 modifies the start of term for sheriffs and county commissioners, ensuring that a sheriff's term begins at noon on the first Monday after the second Tuesday of January following the election. Couldn't you just say the third Monday? Like it's the
Also,
way they.
oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Speak over me. I
Oh,
appreciate it.
I was just gonna say, I think it's funny too, because like the sheriff's raises, and then this one that has to do with like when the sheriff's term starts or whatever. Do you think the politicians who are putting these forward are then going to be in their campaign advertising going like, "I'm tough on crime because I'm passing these bills that are very frivolous that has to do with the sheriff's department, kind of."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That the tough on crime bills. I mean, if you want to eliminate some crime, maybe provide medical care and a living wage. You
Right.
talk about being tough on crime, that'll be tough on crime right there. But yeah, expense accounts. There was another little one that gave grants to folks trying to get education. They brought the age limit from 25 down to 22. Is a grant program I had never heard of. Let's see if I can find it in here real quick. Oh my goodness. But yeah, if you look, attorneys raising fees on stuff for vehicle registration, coroner getting bumps, sheriff 150,000. Yeah, they extended a lot of examination boards, or also, or not just examination boards, but boards that regulate different industries, like the pharmacy board. We see these every week, and they did a big education bill for like 9.9 billion. They took some money from the Children's First Trust Fund and sent it to Medicaid and Human Resources and Department of Public Health. They passed a bond bill for 1.2 billion for that new prison, that second new prison. We got so many prisons we can't keep up with. But yeah, so a few things happened. A lot of de rigueur, what you see week to week. Another thing that they did is now people can turn in their weapons to firearms dealers through the Safer Together program. There's a couple bills passed about that. This one right here: authorize emergency medical services personnel to provide care and transport injured police dogs to veterinary facilities, granting them immunity from civil or criminal liability for care provided in good faith. You know, like just odd things. And here's that grant program. Y'all can spread the word about this. The Reengage Alabama grant lowers the age of adult learner from 25 down to 22. You know what? You should always be a learner. Shouldn't stop at 22 or 25. You should always be learning. Try to impress that upon my kids. Another bill requires a computer science course to graduate for high school students. It'd be great to see a bill on critical thinking and logic for high school students to be passed. But so yeah, cost of living for attorneys, some workforce bills on like this establishes the Alabama Science, Technology, Engineering, and Mathematics Council within the Department of the Workforce to advise on improving STEM education, careers, and workforce development. This one seemed weird to me. It just renames the Alabama Math and Science Teacher Education Program to, I guess, what it is, the Loan Assistance in Support of Education or Educators Program. See what happens when you don't know how to read, and expands loan assistance eligibility to educators certified in high need teaching fields and those working in schools with certified educator shortages. So this seems like a loan repayment program for educators. I'm happy to see that. So yeah, that was what was happening the week of April 1st through 3rd. And yeah.
With the support for Alabama teachers, I'm definitely here for it. I feel like with the low amount we pay them, we should probably just forgive the loans. Like, come on, just forgive the loan. It's not that much.
Yeah, that's the thing, ain't it? I think there's something like $1.4 trillion in loans, and you read these horror stories where like I've been working as a teacher for 15 years and I now owe more on my loans than when I first got them, which seems insane to me. Like beyond comprehension how that can occur, but it occurs and you see it over and over again. You pay attention to people out there sharing their stories, But,
These loan services acting like payday loan places.
yes,
People in it.
yeah, that's how that certainly seems what it feels like is go to school on payday loans. Absolutely.
That just made my stomach cramp.
Dude, maybe that's what's next. Maybe you just just innovated, just provided some synergy to the system with that idea, and some young entrepreneur is going to start a whole payday loan program for people trying to get an education.
It's a cash advance for your entire career.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Oh my goodness. But now that we're in between, we're going to talk a little bit about foraging and worker co-ops. And I'm just going to read real quick a couple things, something, I found interesting. So what is a co-op, folks? Co-ops are producer and user-owned businesses that are controlled by and operate for the benefit of their members rather than outside investors. Oh my God, doesn't that sound nice? The co-op business model is highly flexible and can address a variety of needs. Farmer-owned co-ops help producer members market and process their crops and livestock and secure needed production supplies and services. Consumer-owned rural utility co-ops, shout out TVA, provide electrical power and telecommunication services. Financial co-ops provide credit and financial services. Other co-ops operate food stores, hardware, and build and supply businesses and provide education, daycare, and health services, among many other things. And they got a booklet available for more in-depth discussion on what co-ops are. And I'm just going to read one other thing before we get down to it with UAP. Some types of co-ops, we just mentioned some, but For organizations that help co-ops, there's a rural cooperative development grants, socially disadvantaged groups grants, rural business development grants, and rural micro entrepreneur assistance program. These are some mouthful of words. For cooperatives, value added producer grants, business and industry guaranteed loan program, socially disadvantaged group grants, multi home housing direct loans, farm labor housing direct loans and grants, multifamily housing rental assistance. For rural utility cooperatives, Rural Energy for America program, renewable energy systems and energy efficiency. That is a that is a lot right there. We probably will see that destroyed soon. Rural Energy for America program, REAP, Energy Audit and Renewable Energy Development Assistance Grants, Advanced Biofuel Payment Program. That one is probably going to have Curtis Yarvin in there turning us all into biofuel if he has his way. Biorefinery, Renewable Chemical and Bio-based Product Manufacturing Assistance Program, Distributed Generation Energy Project Financing, Electric Infrastructure Loan and Loan Guarantee Program, High Energy Cost Program, Rural Energy Savings Programs, Community Connect Grants, Distance Learning and Telemedicine Grants, Rural Broadband Access Loan and Loan Guarantee, Telecommunications Infrastructure Loans and Loans Guarantee. And there's an interagency working group on cooperative development available. And this is all from the Department of Agriculture. So that's some stuff that's out there. But we want to talk to AP here on what they've been doing. I think you're trying to work on a co-op, and you actually tried to have a little foraging session this today. Was it today?
It was. I was going to say, I don't know if anybody can see, but I am sunburnt because I've been standing in a field for the past like 6 hours. But yeah, it was super fun. We are trying to start a cooperative farm called Talon and Vine. I appreciate all the information you just gave. I am a newbie to this. I don't know what I'm doing too much, unfortunately, but I'm trying to learn more. I'm trying to seek advice from the community. In fact, a good number of people have started to get in touch with us through the Alabama Progress Discord and stuff like that, as far as directing us to like places of information for co-ops. And so I hadn't seen much on grants though. I appreciate that. But yeah, we are trying to start a farm co-op. We have a little 15-acre farm that we've come in possession of, and so I have just started over the past couple of years, like trying to get into gardening. My girlfriend Tiffany has been amazingly helpful with that, and so as the Empire of Eternia, we have been trying to find a way to reduce our, I guess, what we would say our import costs, our buying, our purchasing of stuff from the U.S. Particularly when it comes to things we can just minimize, things like little radishes and stuff like that we can throw on the ground and pull out potatoes, stuff like that. It's fairly simple for us to reduce costs on. So going from that idea to now having this larger property, we want to be able to expand what we do, and we want to be able to start to provide that for the community. So that's kind of where the idea of a co-op came in. We are trying to be a country. We're trying to show that through our own collective efforts, through our own communities, we can successfully build the things that we see our governments right now not providing us, despite what we give, despite putting in and being productive citizens. So that being the case, taking that community approach, we are trying to actually model a group that I just started learning about that's a farming co-op out of Selma. So they have I think a tiered structure for the way that their member ownership works, where some is connected to if you work directly and contribute your time in the farm and actually do farming. Some of it is connected to you can just like pay in a little bit per month or something, and there's different levels to that. So we're trying to do that. We're trying to get our first step started. We have a little garden we're expanding on out there. We have a few quail that we're getting into. So starting a small foray into livestock and hoping to learn, hoping to get advice, hoping to get support from anyone and everyone who's ever done gardening, ever held livestock, ever worked or learned about co-ops. We need you guys.
That sounds wonderful. What many questions. One, what were y'all like foraging for today?
That is a great question. So today it was a mix. We were effectively trying to learn more about our property ourselves. We walked around it a little bit, but not gone super far. So the main things were some basics. There's a ton of what people call onion grass. It's a wild garlic. But that stuff is growing everywhere out there. It's it's a field that's been cut down with cover crops and stuff for years and years, but it really doesn't get tilled. So a lot of these onion grass bulbs that are growing out there are quite large. So we're able to get a good bit of those. Probably gonna pickle those, cut up some of them, use them for chives and stuff.
I was gonna say that sounds like some good pickles to me.
Absolutely. If you'd like some, we have plenty of those little garlic bulbs. Other than that, we got some purple dead nettle and henbit dead nettle, which, despite the name, sound a little scary. They are edible. They're kind of a little peppery plant. Some people use them, I think, maybe as like an antioxidant or something, but I don't know too much about the pharmaceutical side. We also collected some. One thing we found out that we have, of course, oak trees. So we have some acorns that we'd like to eventually cook and get the tannins out of and try and make some acorn bread with that. We have a palm tree that we didn't know we had, so that'll be nice in the future. We have a bunch of barley that's growing out there, wild barley, which is not ready yet. But when it does come time, we will be making some bread out of that. We were also able to collect a good bit of oh goodness, I'm trying to think of the name of the plant now. We had a person come out, Chris, who was super wonderful. She had a book with her that like had a guide to all of these different plants, so that was super helpful. But a lot of it was the basics, a few things here and there. There's a little plant that I learned about that I can't remember the name of now, but it tastes like lemon a little bit. It's a little small yellow flower. You can eat a little bit kind of as a zest. It's super lemony. So it was fun.
Is it?
I'm sorry?
It's not verbena, is it?
It could be. I don't want to say for sure, but it potentially a little small yellow flower, kind of long, viney looking thing. I don't have the bag on me, but I had a bunch of it.
Did you see any mushrooms out there? I saw an article this week about that game Last of Us, and they turned into a TV show. The mushroom that they based that fungus off of, I can't remember what they call it in the movies, but that stuff goes for $8,000 a pound. Yeah. So, it certainly made me want to look into mushroom farming this week.
Absolutely. We now that we have this larger farm, there is a little wooded area that we were looking at that would be nice, especially because mushroom farming in general, you can do big complicated setups to get high yields, but you can also do things where you just kind of put spores into a log. You just get a bunch of logs and throw them out. Very low maintenance. So we might try that. When we were at our capital territory with Pay, and we were trying to develop there initially, a lot of our focus was trying to do things that we could do in the shade. It's just completely wooded. So mushroom farming is a good way to go for sure. It can be nice.
Yeah, at the farmers market down in Huntsville on Green Street, they've got those logs you're talking about. They sell them there, because I thought about getting some myself at one point. And for another thing for folks that don't know, since we're kind of talking about foraging a little bit, there's actually, and I don't know if you got in touch with them, but there's a YouTuber that's local to Alabama, feral foraging, named Jesse. I got to meet them. I think they were at Earth Day this past Saturday. That's where I met them last year. But they do foraging here, and they're extremely nice and extremely well versed in foraging. So,
His YouTube channel is great.
yeah,
Very recommended, highly recommended. Feral foraging.
Yeah,
but
I
yeah,
for sure learned a little bit from them as well. They're great channel. I did try to reach out to them for our foraging day today. I think I was probably just short on time. You know, I did it too close to the deadline. But I would be excited to meet them to try to track down an event I can go to or something that they'll be at.
yeah. If you're gonna have these things regularly, uh, I'd be happy to help you spin up a flyer for it. And I'm not good at graphic design, but I'm good at emotional support and walking through the stuff a little bit and picking out a font. But yeah,
That
uh,
works for me.
are,
I'll
are
send a
you
flyer
are you
check.
are you planning on trying to do this more regular for the foraging stuff?
I would. I was going to say for a couple of reasons. One, you know, the couple of people that we did have out, it was fun. It was cool. I think I learned a little bit. Certainly, I think everybody learned a little bit. And also, it would be really nice just to be able to fill a little bit of a need there. Whether people want to come for themselves to just get stuff and learn stuff, and be able to have a little bit extra in their pantry, or whether it's Jason, I know you're working with Hands of Decatur. If there's ever anything that we can do, like on a larger scale, that was one of the things we were kind of regretting today is that there's not a way for us to like just collect a bunch of this stuff that we know we can easily collect and process it to be able to have people use it easier. Because for us to go out and pull those like wild garlic and stuff, it's 2 seconds and you can get a bunch. So
Yeah.
yeah, we would like to do it.
A couple weeks ago, AP hooked up Hands Across Decatur with a couple of bags of daily grains, and yeah, they cooked them up and tried them, and results were mixed. Several people liked them, and a couple people didn't.
That's
Fair
still
enough.
You can't beat the
Also,
price.
that is true. You can't beat the price. It is a wild green, so there's definitely some getting used to it. The other thing, I want to learn more about how to prepare them better. There's some advice online, but a lot of it's just like, hey, boil it, cook it, season it however you like, or you can eat it raw. But I really want to get into potentially like grinding it up, especially for the daylily, and trying to make it like seaweed, because it's similarly uh, kind of stalky a little bit. It can get a tough texture, a little chewy. So making it into forms that are more appetizing, can go straight to people's dinner plate would be nice.
Yeah, like dandelions you can eat straight out the ground, but something like nettles, stinging nettles, I know you need to like usually boil them twice, uh, and whatnot. But yeah,
I was
uh,
going to say as well. These
you're gonna get there. You're gonna get there, baby steps. You will get
absolutely.
there.
We're trying. Well, and even with the daylily, it was surprising because this season, this spring, was my first time trying daylily, and it's just growing near where we live, and so it's an I believe an invasive weed, and it grows up in little small shoots from the ground early in the spring, and it has these little tubers underneath the ground. I personally didn't want to deal with the tubers; they're small and they're kind of hard to cook and clean. But the daylily itself, you can cut it from the ground and it'll grow everywhere. You can cut it, and within a few days, maybe a week, it'll grow right back to where it was. So you can I mean, if you have even a small patch of this stuff, if you really wanted to tend to it, you can have greens regularly. It can really be something to add a little bit extra to the pantry.
Speaking of invasives, I wonder if kudzu, man, I wonder if we can make some kudzu salad out there.
Absolutely. I have actually been hunting for kudzu on our property today. That was part of what we were doing. Going out to that little forested section, we were hoping to find some, um, but we didn't find anything particularly that looks like it. But it's invasive. It's everywhere. And I didn't know this. Farmers in the U.S. were originally told and encouraged to plant kudzu as a cover crop, as additional, the material for trying to start a new like vegetable market in the U.S. And people abandoned it almost instantly. And there's no reason we're not eating it. In Asian countries, kudzu root is eaten like any other potato or something else. It's very common. So the leaves, I think the flowers and the root are all edible. We can totally clear out a lot of that.
Well, Alabama's certainly got enough damn kudzu to feed the whole nation, probably. I swear.
Absolutely. And even just for forage material for animals and stuff. If you could just collect a lot of the stuff together, I'm sure people would use it.
Mm-hmm. Shoot. But so working on the foraging, you're working on at the beginnings of a farmer co-op type situation, and you're trying to get in touch with some local experts. I think that is an excellent path to go down. I definitely want to. I'd love to bring the kids out there and have them work for 6 hours in the sun. They'd probably be done after about 30 minutes and complaining. But maybe if I have them on a full charge on their phone with full charge earbuds, I can get them out there.
Yeah, I mean, we would appreciate the extra help. One of the things we were thinking about today is we should have done something, either like start in the late afternoon and then maybe like toward the end as kind of a celebration, do like a little bonfire, something like that. Or we could maybe, if we're doing it early in the day, like do like a watermelon or something, like something we can all kind of enjoy after that.
Yeah. It's important to celebrate your wins whenever they come up. And, you know, food is medicine, food is love, food is, community. And uh, I appreciate what you're doing. I do.
I appreciate you guys for having me here. Um, you know, we're as far as the co-op, as far as foraging, those things are things we've done over the last year, this slowly developing towards. But the Empire of Eternia has been around for 8 years. I've been trying to get more politically active, learn more about how to actually do mutual aid, a term I learned from you not too long ago. But trying to help. And myself, I'm currently going for a master's in optics or physics. My girlfriend is going for her PhD in mechanical engineering. We have been working on lots of projects. We recycle vape pen batteries to create lithium-ion battery packs to get charged by solar panels for renewable energy. We're trying to do things with forging to actually make some of our own metal tools and things like that to kind of upgrade, expand what we can do without having to go to the store and buy things. We just anybody and everybody that has an interest in making a change in the community, we need help. We need all the help we can get.
That's outstanding. I love all that. Yeah. Yeah, there's no reason why this whole world shouldn't be on renewables by now. Except we know why. Uh, you know, we certainly know why. We'll see you big old boys soon enough.
It's crazy too, because Tiffany being in robotics, I have friends that are in computer science who talk about AI all the time. There, there's a very real future that's coming very soon where human work just isn't like as valuable as it used to be, and it's getting less and less so. And if we don't have some way to distribute resources to people, it's going to be a scarier and scarier future. I think that's what I'm afraid of.
Well, we can always bring back the Luddite movement, a little neo-Ludditism, and go.
I am 100% here for the Butlerian Jihad.
There we go, dog.
Yeah, I am ready to smash all the computers. Believe me.
It's all computers.
I am with you, dude. With you. Like,
I say this as a software engineer. I've been writing code for 20 years, and I'm sick of it.
yeah, I say this as somebody with a cybersecurity background, for sure, especially with the way, you compare, I believe it's called DeepSeek, that was developed out in China, which is an AI that can operate on your laptop, not even connected to a network, compared to these grok on Twitter that, every question is a cup of water worth of resources and beyond. And they're trying to get $1 trillion of taxpayer money in funding as well. But yeah, cheers to the Butlerian Jihad.
Yes.
But yeah.
That, and we're also on YouTube. I forgot to mention. We have a YouTube channel.
You can drop your link in, if you see the comments chat on the right hand side.
I do. If I will it mess anything up if I leave? I'm on my phone, so I'm gonna get the link and then come back.
Here, I will find it while we talk about some other stuff. How about that?
Oh, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
The Empire's been around for 8 years. You say?
It has. It's been around for 8 years. It has been around since I think year before I went to college. So, yep, when I was 18.
How many citizens do you have?
We have 12 citizens currently. We only have 2 local citizens. The rest of them are not only we have a few in other parts of the United States, but the rest of them are international. So we have citizens all over the world.
Oh wow,
a true empire.
We're trying. We're trying for sure.
Hey, empire of the working class. I'm all about that.
I appreciate it. I appreciate it. The ideal world, you just straight up don't need my position to exist. Just keep doing the stuff. Just keep building the resources.
Yeah, I read a study a while ago that people only need about 30% of the resources that are being used currently. So there's plenty for all. It's just the distribution of them is inequitable, and there's plenty for everybody, and everybody deserves a decent life, full of beauty and art and what it means to be a person, beyond just working 40 hours a week, or beyond being 60% of the folks in the U.S. being paycheck to paycheck, and we don't have to live like this, and it's been thrust upon us, and we can throw off those chains when we work together.
Absolutely. You were talking about that 30%, and I completely agree. I mean, you look at our recycling issues, where for a long time we were trying to do recycling. People were trying to support recycling efforts, and a lot of that has just backslid. We have tons and tons of plastic that we leave in the ocean or ship overseas or do stuff like that with. And you tell me we can't use some of that to build a house for somebody. You tell me we can't use some of that to put back in for some good for people. So
exactly. And there is the YouTube channel, a whole bunch of googly goop, but it's in the chat, folks, and the Empire Eternia. So yeah, Y'all check it out. Dang, 653 videos. You
Yeah.
are on it, dog. You are on it.
We've been around for a while, and a lot of our content, because of my schedule, unfortunately, is live streams. So when we're doing stuff, every once in a while, we'll just put it up. So if you want to come and hang out with us while we're working, it's a way to do it.
Yeah. Hey, live streaming, that's for the bold for sure. Shout out to all those edited videos out there, but hey, you got to have some spine to just hop on a live stream and run with it, folks. Uh, yeah, but hey,
Recognize game.
yeah, but the edited stuff, that's good too, man. The little jokes you can put in and all that good stuff, and uh, not be rambling like I tend to do. But yeah, with all that, we're going to get to the week of what passed April 8th through the 10th, 2025 in the Alabama legislature. Jason, you want to take us away?
Sure. So I only saw a few bills that I wanted to highlight. One is SB 102, sponsored by Senator Linda Coleman Madison of Birmingham. It gives pregnant women presumptive eligibility for Medicaid. It passed 103-0 and goes to Kay Ivey. So basically, if you're a pregnant woman in the state of Alabama, hopefully a pregnant person generally, you will be eligible for, you'll be presumed eligible for Medicaid, which is a good thing, I would say.
Well, when they sit there and make it where folks don't have abortion care, I guess this is a reasonable response, right? It seems that Arthur Orr out there in Decatur is trying to backdoor this in a manner, though, with another bill, I believe, where he adds that means testing we were mentioning earlier.
Right.
But,
yeah, Arthur Orr is trying to add means testing to this, and let's see what I have what he's pulling up so far. Let's see. So it would end the process known as presumptive eligibility. So in general, if you have presumptive eligibility, Arthur Orr wants to take it away from you. So then it would just be given back piecemeal to pregnant women.
So it sounds like it's going to be harder to distribute resources and figure out who is eligible and who isn't eligible. It's just a way to gum up the system, it sounds like.
Yeah, so basically right now, hospitals and doctors, they can, if you are impoverished, they can presume that you are eligible for Medicaid, and they can sign you up right away, especially when you are in need of immediate care or emergency care. And so it's been something that's been beneficial to rural hospitals because we have refused to expand Medicaid coverage in the state of Alabama. So presumptive eligibility is one way to get federal dollars going into these facilities.
and we're a majority rural state. 54 out of 67 counties are considered rural, and it seems like there's an assault on rural hospitals, intentionally so, in trying to get rid of them. I think something around the average distance is an hour or two driving for a lot of folks to get, pregnancy care.
Right. There are many rural counties in Alabama where there is no hospital, and you have to go to the next county over, or maybe even two counties over, in order to visit a hospital. And rural hospitals are closing Alabama all the time. As big a supporter of single payer as I am, single payer may not be enough. It doesn't do you any good to have insurance if there's no hospital for you to go to. It may take an NHS style system in order to get these rural hospitals operational again.
Or yeah, hell, could it even start with a mobile program, right? Where you know you have some sort of ambulance or maybe even a bigger type vehicle, a Ford F-150 or wait, extra duty, whatever the hell they are, uh, and with a treatment trailer uh, going around. That could kick things off in the meantime of trying to get buildings secured and approved and whatnot, because there is, assuming there's like some standards for having a medical facility, which maybe they'll get rid of those and everybody can just get treatment in a swamp.
Well, and it also sucks because where we are is with that farm is fairly rural, and so it's a similar situation where 45 minutes one way or the other way to get to a hospital. In addition to that, for people who have like chronic debilitating conditions, like my dad has diabetes. If for whatever reason we need to get him like emergency treatment for whatever reason he needed, an ambulance or something, the first people to respond would probably be EMTs from the like the fire department. The fire departments are generally, especially around here, just volunteer, so they're underfunded, they're understaffed, and you just kind of gotta hope that it's going to work out. Really shitty.
Yeah. Hope in one hand and shit in the other. See what fills up first. Oh, well. What else are we looking at here, Jay?
So I pay attention to bills that didn't pass by acclamation. If you'll notice, quite a few of the bills passed by like some number to zero, or where there's only one or two people objecting. So I like to pay special attention to bills where that wasn't the case. And this next one is one where that wasn't the case. So it only passed 77 to 21, which means it had significant Democratic opposition, even though I wasn't able to find out why. So this is HB 403, sponsored by Representative Russell Bedsole of Alabaster. Establishes the Alabama Criminal Enterprise Database, managed by the Alabama State Law Enforcement Agency, to collect and maintain information on individuals identified as members of criminal enterprises or gangs. So a significant number of Democrats voted against this, but their reasoning wasn't publicly available.
I can guess a reasoning for.
Oh, I can guess several, but go ahead.
Yeah, I can definitely see this being used against black folks and immigrants right off the bat.
Absolutely. Look how little it's taken for people to be declared members of MS-13 or Tren de Aragua, where people who have innocuous tattoos and innocuous clothing are being treated as gang members and deported to El Salvador.
Yeah, that one fella, he had that autism awareness because his was it cousin or brother or sister, one of his relatives had autism, had an autism awareness, and I don't know if anybody's ever seen it, but it's looks like a ribbon with multicolored on it, and they got hemmed up. And hell, you can just be a father apparently and get sent to El Salvador, which they're trying to. The courts said that the government needs to facilitate his return, and they're like, "Oh, we don't know. We don't know where he's now. He's an El Salvador citizen or whatever horseshit they're saying."
The judge doesn't have jurisdiction over El Salvador.
Yeah. Certainly seems the U.S. has jurisdiction over every other fucking place in the world. Why not El Salvador? But yeah, I can see this being used against not white folk a whole lot.
And when you look at the particulars of the bill, so when it defines what a criminal enterprise member is, it says an individual who meets 3 or more of the following, and some of them are pretty whatever, right? Like, let's see, he is identified as a criminal enterprise member by a reliable informant. Like, what does that mean? Like somebody,
A snitch.
yeah, a snitch, and that could be anybody saying anything.
Yeah.
Adopts the style of dress of a criminal enterprise. Adopts the use of a hand sign identified as used by a criminal enterprise. So now what the cops can say, I saw you throw up a gang sign.
Is this going to be a gang? That's a new gang sign. They're going to be calling folks on.
Okay, get this. Has been observed in the company of 1 or more known criminal enterprise members 4 or more times. So guilt by association.
So you could just not even know somebody's doing whatever, and you just hang out and play some video games with them, and that'd be enough.
It could be your relative, your brother's in a gang, and so now you've been around there 4 times, and so now you're a gang member too. So this bill is out of control. Absolutely needs to be shut down.
The good news is now they're finally going to get all of those white supremacist, hate group members. Finally.
Oh man.
Oh yeah, of course. I'm sure that's going to happen.
Yeah.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, that's what it's for. It's we're going after the Klan and neo-fascists and accelerationists. That's exactly what this will be used for. Jesus.
Yes, not a chance.
Well, it's good. It's good we had some show up at that nuclear power plant the other week.
I know, right?
Jeez. I swear the Yarvanites would be happy if some white supremacists blew up a reactor. But yeah, we can certainly see where this is going.
So yeah, it's absolutely a horrible bill. It doesn't take much to get you branded a gang member, and there doesn't appear to be any way to appeal it to get your name off the list. So it's just bad news all around.
Cry freedom.
Yep. So good on the Democrats for voting against it for all the good it did, 77-21. It's going to go to the Senate now. So another bill I'm following. So I'm a big believer in midwives, and I've been following the midwifery issue in Alabama for some time. Back in my prior organizing days, I had productive relationships with the people who were advocating in favor of midwives. And so SB 87, sponsored once again by Arthur Orr of Decatur, my senator, would authorize licensed midwives to administer the heel stick portion of newborn screenings. So they're able to perform. The bill was originally broader and allowed them to perform more.
Yeah, I thought there was some pushback by the Midwives Association about this.
There was. So there was language in the bill that was hostile to midwifery, and they opposed the bill. So they say the new language of the bill is too restrictive. They're allowed to administer the heel stick, but it explicitly states that a midwife is prohibited from interpreting any tests or screens under the subsection, and shall cause any results to be referred to a physician of the mother choosing who is licensed to practice medicine in the state.
So it's halfway there.
Yeah. So midwives can collect the sample and send it to somebody that's qualified, but they can't do anything else. So they're trying to get the bill amended, but it's passed and goes to the House.
Well, I see right under this some gender affirming care right there with SB 190 would require health insurance plans to cover prostate cancer screening for high risk men free out of pocket costs.
Yeah, I mean, not objectionable, but yeah, it's care they would deny to others. So something else I've followed and liked, SB 43, sponsored by Tim Melson out of Florence, would prohibit health insurance companies from regulating what healthcare providers and pharmacists may tell patients about the cost of treatment or medication, or from informing them about cheaper alternative drugs or medications. So health insurance companies can't stop you from saying, hey, here's the generic version of the bill. I had to check the exact language of the bill because it may be that, you know, your doctor can inform you about some sort of quack medication or some sort of quack treatment, like alternative, like the phrase alternative treatment sort of.
How about some vitamin A for them measles, folks?
Yeah, exactly. Or some ivermectin for your COVID.
Yeah.
So, you know, that kind of gets my hackles up a little bit, but on the surface, it looks like it's, I mean, it looks like it's protecting the right of physicians to say, oh, hey, there's this generic version of this drug available that's available for a little bit cheaper, and the health insurance company can't stop them. So that's interesting. There's SB 252, sponsored by Senator Billy Beasley out of Clayton, which will create new regulations and restrictions on reimbursements and fees pharmacy benefit managers, PBMs, charge to pharmacies. So we've talked about this bill in the past when it came through the House, and now it's gone to the Senate and it's going to Kay Ivey.
I've heard good things about this one. You know, I need to ask my pharmacist, to be honest, and double check, but it seems like this is going to be very helpful, especially for small pharmacies. If you're not, if you're getting your stuff from Publix and whatever, and you have to, or Walmart and all that, that's understandable. But folks, do your best to go on and change all them prescriptions over to a local pharmacist. And I love my local pharmacist down that I got. They're awesome, and they always got a smile on their face, and they're always on top of things. And if I show up and it ain't filled, they got that thing sorted in like 5 minutes or less. Yeah.
So yeah, this is something that small pharmacies have been asking for. There was a demonstration earlier this year where small pharmacies closed their doors at a certain day, and like hundreds of small pharmacies participated in it, or perhaps only dozens, but it got some news coverage because these PBMs are forcing them to shut down and making it to where the only people who can afford the charges are like your Walgreens and CVS and the other big pharmacies. So this is something that small pharmacists have asked for, and it looks like the Senate has concurred, and they are with the House, and they're sending this bill to Kay Ivey. I don't know what she'll do with it. I can't.
I wonder, is there any like lobbying for that bill? Like, are there any like, oh, the Walgreens and like CVS or whatever are trying to get that? Like, where's this come from?
I haven't seen any news saying all that, but that is an interesting question.
Yeah, it's a great question, and it's hard to find that kind of information. Like the news doesn't necessarily cover what who's been walking around the floor of the House or Senate talking to legislators and things like that. I'm sure that if we could do records requests and find out what lobbyist is down there.
If we were more professional.
I know, right? If I was like a real professional journalist and knew what I was doing. I could find the information out that way.
But
I'm reliant on what other journalists have written. I say other journalists, I mean what journalists have written.
It's a wing and a prayer around here, folks.
That's right. The world's most professional podcast. That is us.
What else we looking through?
So there's only one bill that I saw that passed. And then there are a couple of bills that are coming through committee I want to highlight. So there's HB 445, which is more war on drugs nonsense. It authorizes the Alabama Alcoholic Beverage Control Board to regulate the consumable hemp market. So this is a ban on the Delta,
Delta 8s.
Yeah, the Delta 8s, the THC,
Delta 9, yeah.
the THC A. So
the whole alphabet.
Yeah, whatever those. I'm not up on my drugs, but I just don't think people should be going to jail for buying them. So they're not going to stop needing them just because the state says they're not allowed anymore. So they're gonna buy it anyway. There are lots of small businesses that would be impacted by this. So
all those vape shops you see around, all the even like your corner gas stations and whatnot.
But we gotta tax pharmacies a little harder.
Yeah. Well, so in Tennessee, they created the licensing framework, they created age restrictions, they created labeling requirements and requirements for lab testing. So they didn't ban the products and they didn't dismantle the entire industry. Right? So Tennessee kind of did this in the smart and reasonable way where you put common sense regulations in place, but otherwise let these stores sell their best-selling products. And this legislation just issues a blanket ban, which is going to wind up putting more people in jail.
Well, so if there's one thing Alabama's good at, is putting folks in jail.
That's true.
And the tradition shall continue with this bill.
We don't want to take jobs away from the poor private prison corporations, though.
Right. We got to fill the KIV industrial prison complex or whatever it's called somehow. It's not going to fill itself.
The Ivy Industrial Complex.
Whatever it's called, correctional facility, that KIV correctional facility. Imagine having a prison named after you. I would be ashamed.
I was going to say, and being proud of it and like telling people.
Getting t-shirts.
That's your legacy. That's your monument to the world. Like long after you're gone, it's going to be the KIV correctional facility.
Part 1 and part 2. She could make a trilogy. Why not a third one?
Why not a third one? Exactly.
She's, I think she's selling herself short.
Wait, does she have 2 prisons named after her?
No, she has 1, but she's got 2 that are being built.
Yeah, with COVID money, among other things.
And money from the general and education. I think from the education fund.
Oh, that's horrible.
I swear they used the education fund money, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's the general fund I'm thinking of.
Especially galling if true.
God.
So then there are a couple of bills. There are 3 or 4 bills that I'm keeping an eye on. One is by State Representative Ernie Yarbrough from Trinity, who's from my neck of the woods, but he's not my state rep. He has once again filed a bill to consider abortion as murder under Alabama law. So if you're a woman or a person who is pregnant and you have an abortion, you would be charged with murder. Alabama homicide law currently expressly precludes abortion, but they're talking, so that would make it a Class A felony on the same level of homicide.
Dang. That's
Or-
monstrous.
So there is a nonprofit that is behind this bill. It's called End Abortion Alabama. They wrote the model legislation, and Yarborough brought it to the floor. So I have no idea if it. I don't have a good read on whether or not this will pass. And a lot of there's been some opposition to it expressed by other conservatives. So the author of the 2019 abortion law, a Birmingham attorney named Eric Johnston, told the Alabama Political Reporter that this bill would be, quote, out of step with the pro-life movement. Which he said over 40 years of challenging Roe v. Wade has overwhelmingly chosen not to prosecute women, unquote.
We need to pass a law that says that if you're going to pass something that crazy and that monstrous and that harmful, you got to at least write it yourself. It's crazy that you just have like a group hand you something and be like, oh, just go make it happen.
That's been the hot new thing in conservative circles for a long time. The Heritage Institute, the Alabama Policy Institute, and there are lots of others that have started proposing model legislation, not just in Alabama, but in other state legislatures, and trying to get those passed. So they're trying to take all the work out of it. So you just have to pass what they've written. Yeah, I find that kind of problematic as well. But obviously, this bill is. I want to hope that it's a long shot for getting passed. He's introduced this before and it didn't get anywhere, so maybe that will continue to be the case. Although it's hard to put anything past the Alabama legislature.
Yeah.
We've talked previously about the bill from Arthur Orr that would restrict picketing and protests outside of the homes of the subject of the protest. That bill has made it out of the Senate committee. So the whole Senate is going to take it up. It's HB 247. Obviously, there's a lot of Democratic opposition on the basis of freedom of speech and freedom of protest. But it just lets you know how effective a tactic that is if they're making a law against it.
So I'm sorry, it says that you can't protest what?
So you can't use noise amplifiers, and you can't be too close to the residents of the subject of the protest. 30 minutes after sunset and 30 minutes before sunrise.
Wow. Okay, cool.
So in Decatur, where in September 2023, 2023, the Decatur police shot and killed a man, and there have been protests about the police actions that night, which were not in keeping with either Alabama law or the actual policies of the Decatur Police Department. It's a long story to get into.
Was that the one where the guy had ordered like somebody was trying to repossess his car or something?
Yeah, that's Steve.
Truck. Yes, that's him. Steve Perkins was his name.
Steve Perkins.
Yeah.
And so protesters in Decatur made a lot of political hay by protesting outside of the residence of the mayor.
Right.
And they
standing in power, folks.
Yes, they did fantastic work. And they got under the mayor's skin so much that he was negotiating with them to I'll step down if you'll stop protesting outside my house. Now he later went back on his word. But
what a baby.
Yeah. But that's the nature of the negotiation. Then you've won. He's negotiating with them not to protest outside of his house, and willing to make major concessions. I think he wound up saying, "I won't run for office again." So, and that was a direct response to these protests. So once they're negotiating with you on that level, I think you've already won. So the
When can
Standing Power folks have done fantastic work. So here comes Senator Arthur Orr from Decatur wanting to make that illegal. Now, he says it was inspired by the protests outside of Brett Kavanaugh's home instead of the protests outside of Mayor Tab Bowling's home. And maybe he's telling the truth, maybe he's not.
You can't take the heat, get out the kitchen. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? You're a public servant, and that's that. You're not a private citizen.
you know what you got to do? Since they're trying to ban it, before they ban it, everyone go back to his house.
Right.
Just one more round. Get it one more time if he's going to try and sweep it under the rug. If he's try and stop
I don't
it.
believe they ever stopped. I
Yeah.
think they're still at it.
Yeah.
I'm not as plugged into the Standing and Power people as I should be. But I'm not sure they ever stopped protesting outside of his home.
Good. Very cool.
Yeah, so they did a lot of great work. You know, it's like, and I have mixed feelings about Saul Alinsky, but one of his principles in Rules for Radicals was to make it personal and to target a particular person instead of an institution. And I think those are good pieces of advice that have been used successfully here in Decatur.
Also known as network-centric warfare.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's not business. It is personal.
Oh, absolutely. This is personal. It's personal. Like I take it personally when people are denied health care, when they're denied work, when they're denied the food they need to eat. You know, when you have students that can't go to school and get a meal, like all that. When my trans friends are having their entire existence made illegal, oh yeah, believe me, that's personal to me. I take that personally, and I will make it personal right back.
Yeah. What good is it if we're the quote richest nation in the history of the world if the working class is just fucked over left and right?
Like you're disappearing my neighbors, and I'm gonna act like it's just a polite disagreement that we have. Like no, this is absolutely personal. But I am a bitter, hardcore partisan, and I feel that way about Trump supporters too. Like I know there's a lot of talk about like, oh, we need to reach out to them and we need to win them over, and I'm like, man, I struggle with that so much. And I'm just like, they hate my guts and I hate theirs right back.
Hey, that's the thing is like you might not be the one to have to do that work. You know what I mean? And you know, there's a difference between arguing with somebody who's misinformed and trying to talk to a fascist, a dyed-in-the-wool fascist. That's two different beasts, in my opinion. And some people, like me, will sit there and argue all day with somebody. But, you know, not everybody has to do that, nor should everybody do that, because there's a whole lot of other shit that we need to do, like foraging.
Yeah.
Like foraging. Yeah, and I completely agree with you, Jason. I think it's really tough because the people who I think are going to change their mind, they're going to change their mind through their community. They're going to change their mind through their friends. They're going to change their mind through the opportunities and the access that they're able to get from actually being in touch with other people and caring about other people around them. But yeah, for people who are, you know, doing this bad faith play where it's you say, to stop attacking conservatives because there needs to be a line, there needs to be some like decorum or whatever. Try and act high and mighty, but then say, oh, we can deport U.S. citizens to another country that they're not from. We like want that. We're actively trying to do it. You're not dealing with somebody who's going to compromise or going to listen or going to even support you at all. They're just waiting for the opportunity to come.
Right. Just the gleeful cruelty. I can't abide it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But yeah, for all non-fascists, the Empire of Eternia, we are moving forward. Our motto is unite the invisible, achieve the impossible. So moving forward, trying to make the
Yeah,
future happen.
that's a lovely little saying right there. I love that.
I like it.
If you guys have a second, I don't want to derail things too much, but this little setup behind the scenes on flag, this symbol in the middle is our symbol. It's the arrow of progress. It's from the Greek myth of Odysseus and the Odyssey, but it is the idea that with the right effort, we can achieve what people think is impossible. We can shoot the arrow through the 10 accents. We can
Oh yeah.
progress and move forward, despite being what in Odysseus's in that scene, in that setup, in the epic, is like a beggar. He's like a beggar who's trying to reclaim his throne, and so that is what we are about.
That's what's
Trying
up.
to empower people.
All the power to all the people, as we say around here. We got any other bills on your purview, Jay, or we get just wrapping up?
Yeah, just really quick. The Don't Say Gay expansion to K through 12 made it out of the House committee, so it'll be taken up by the full House.
Okay.
We've talked about that in the past. So,
as fascism rises, anti-fascism does as well.
And just to end on a positive note, the Second Chance Act moves, according to the headline title, Second Chance Act moves towards final vote to become law. So basically, if you were sentenced to life without parole under the former Habitual Felony Offender Act, like we used to have a 3 strikes law in Alabama, but we don't anymore. But the people who were put in prison for life under the 3 strikes law are still in prison. So this is the Second Chance Act, which would make it so where you can, if you were sentenced under the Habitual Felony Offender Act before 2000, sometime in 2000, it would let you go before a judge to review and reconsider your sentence. So it excludes people who were convicted of murder, attempted murder, an offense of a sexual nature, or a crime that caused an injury to another person. But aside from that, we're talking about letting out people who were imprisoned under a law that's no longer in effect.
That's good.
I'm sure that'd be a ton of help for drug convictions, especially.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I used to do a lot of volunteer work in Limestone Correctional Facility. And I met a man there who was in prison for life because he had received stolen property 3 times. Like, he was a fence. He took stolen property, like not in, I think, in felony amounts 3 times in a row, and they got him for it, and they put him in prison for life. And not a man who needs to be locked up for life.
And I bet you that man, if he could have a job with a living wage, he would have took that instead.
Yeah, he wouldn't be out there fencing goods.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, exactly. And instead of like figuring out a way for him to make restitution and work and have a dignified life, they've locked him up forever.
It honestly sounds perfect for corporate sales,
I know, right?
Well, also, like, even just the principle of the matter. You're talking about, the federal government being in the Department of Government Efficiency and all this, but you're going to equate the value of someone's life to, like, maybe a few $1,000s worth of merchandise, something like that, but you're going to pay for their entire life in prison.
Right.
Because of it.
Oh, so Alabama prisons blow a hole in our budget, in the state budget. It's amazing the money we spend on prisons in this state. Like, every once in a while, these conservatives lock them all up and throw away the key types will get elected, and other conservatives will have to go to him and say, no, we can't afford to do that. like these tough on crime policies are only not delivering, but it's money that we could be spent to put to better use. And I mean, almost anything else we spend it on would be a better use of it.
Yeah, for every dollar you invest in somebody, it comes back 4 times, 10 times, you know. So the answer is always investing in people, not, you know, not how we do things here in the United States and especially in Alabama. And I was going to highlight a couple more articles just real quick, and then something good to roll out on. We got this right here. The literally Trump tells the black belt to eat shit. This is a straight pipe sewage discharge system in Lowndes County. Mobile home. U.S. Department of Justice announced Friday that it would suspend a settlement with the Alabama Department of Public Health that would require the department to address inadequate sanitation in Lowndes County. DOJ, in a settlement agreement, the DOJ will no longer push, quote, environmental justice as viewed through a distorting DEI lens, said Assistant Attorney General Harmeet K. Dillon in a news release. President Trump made it clear Americans deserve a government committed to serving every individual with dignity and respect, and to expending taxpayer resources in accordance with the national interest, not arbitrary criteria. So yeah, black belt, eat shit.
If I'm understanding, you just said they said there shouldn't be any woke environmental justice. So is that just any environmental justice? Like, why not just say that? Why not just say we don't want environmental justice flat out?
Yeah. Be clearer with your fascism, please. Don't lawyer it up.
So yeah, this is a story that's been percolating for a while. Where, I mean, the kind of soil that they have in Lowndes County in many areas is not amenable to having traditional septic systems, and so you just have raw sewage in the yard, and there are a lot of diseases and parasites that proliferate because of that. And Lowndes County is one of the poorest counties in the state. It's also
the birthplace of the Black Panthers.
I was about to say that. Also, Lowndes County is the birthplace of the Black Panthers. So we associate it with Oakland, but it got started here in Alabama in Lowndes County, and I am extremely proud of that.
Well, yeah. So we got the investigation followed a complaint filed by Flowers, who received the MacArthur Genius Grant for her environmental activism. Flowers filed her complaint in partnership with the National Resources Defense Council. Where's her first name? Oh my goodness. I didn't mention it. I was looking for her first name. Oh, here we go. Resilient and sustainable sanitation is a problem in rural communities across the U.S., said Catherine Coleman Flowers, Lowndes County native and founder of the Center for Rural Enterprise and Environmental Justice. That is somebody we need to talk to, Jay, for sure.
Sure.
But
if they'll come on our highly professional show about socialism.
What?
I think they should. I've been a fan. I've been excited about it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. We try our best. I spend hours getting ready for the show every week, and you cannot tell. You absolutely just can't.
It's something I can't say too much. We're not a particularly big channel, but it's something that's just that way. Live streaming is awful. It's tough to do. I, for the longest time, have tried to schedule streams and be good about that. And every time I'm like 20 minutes off or something, like an hour before. It's hard.
So someday I'll be good at this. I keep hoping that enough practice will make perfect, and someday we'll be a solid professional show, and I'll have sparkling sparkling wit and great opinions to share.
Well, hell, I don't know. I don't know if we need to get that good, to be honest, with the way some of these streamers are out there. Maybe we just need to start a crypto coin.
Oh yeah, there we go. The socialist crypto coin.
That's it. There we go. Now we're talking. Now we're brainstorming.
Yeah, well, the empire needs a currency.
Well, so I was going to bring that up. In the Alabama Progress server, people were talking about creating like a community currency. One of the things that's interesting about that is the empire does have its own currency. We are not able to use it as a means of transaction because there's something called a money transmission license, which is what regulates like cryptocurrencies and local currencies and stuff. But it's only like $4,000 or $5,000. If we could eventually crowdfund the money to get it together to do that, we could have a local currency that businesses could straight up start using to promote people investing in their community. So we want to push for that one day. That's the dream.
That's interesting. There's also like ideas about how like because I thought about like Alabama having their own currency for intrastate or interstate, which is it?
Inter is correct.
Is between
transactions and stuff.
Wait. Do you mean between states or within the state?
Within the state, intra.
Oh, that's intra. Yeah,
Intra.
sorry.
So intra-state transactions to like help with like a co-op to co-op transaction or whatever. And then I've also read about like measurement of value in like man hours versus some versus the dollar and what have you. But yeah,
absolutely. Every large city region should have its own currency. So Huntsville, Birmingham, Mobile, Montgomery should each have one. And if we're going to have currency, and that's the way it should be. And if you're looking for reasons why, I refer you to Jane Jacobs, the urban author, the person who wrote about urban sciences and urban economies. Jane Jacobs, I love her writing so much. She was a very smart woman.
With today's technology, like exchange rates and whatever would be easily like managed, But
absolutely. And I think what's interesting about it is the way that it's set up right now, as far as I'm aware, is that, for like small stuff, if I wanted to, we have our co-op and we want to trade with another co-op, we can do like barter transactions and stuff like that. If it's big enough, you definitely want to try to declare it in taxes or whatever. There's ways to do that. But then like between that and the amount that it takes to get this money transmission license and stuff like that, there's this big gap that you can fall in between. That's really you don't have much ability to do stuff because if you don't record it all, then it is tax evasion. But if you if you need to have that transmission license, if you had cities doing it, maybe everyone could adopt one. You have people actually using the currency to go through with it. But if you want to start community currency, I think that's a great idea. I think we should do that. You need to get that like critical mass of people. You need to get like enough people on board. You can get that transmission license, and then you can just spread it as big as you want. I mean, there's no limit.
Interesting.
Very much so. We got one more little not good thing, and then we're gonna finish on a little video. But deputy admits to stomping genitals of an inmate who died. This is how we treat seizures in Walker County. We got Carl Lofton Carpenter here. And as a deputy has agreed to plead guilty to federal charges involving the mistreatment and abuse of Tony Mitchell, who later died while in custody of the jail. Carl Lofton Carpenter, 55, will plead guilty to 2 counts of deprivation of rights, according to court documents made public Tuesday. So, yeah, Carpenter stipulated to the government's claims that he stomped on the inmate's genitals with a shod foot while Mitchell lay face up on the ground, handcuffed behind his back and that he rammed the inmate into the exterior of a patrol vehicle and kicked his legs. Yeah. So, what a horrible, horrible, horrible thing. This person was suffering from mental illness issues, and you know, I had various things happen throughout the life. There they are, Anthony Tony Mitchell, and it's good to see some actual justice served, and I hope his family can heal from this. Not the cop, but Mr. Mitchell here. But yeah, you know, we see this all too often, but I wanted to highlight this because, you know, I think it's important that we remember the victims of the system and make sure that we try to make sure that this shit don't keep happening.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's tragic.
It's tragic, and also, I mean, it's just a testament to the lax nature of our system. Like there had to have been signs that this person was absolutely a monster. Like you don't just all of a sudden, oh, they were just a monster out of nowhere.
Absolutely. Like, you don't turn into this in one day or one bad day. This is somebody who most likely has gotten away with shit for his entire life, and used the badge to protect him. There's no telling how much damage he's wrought in his community. And, you know, good luck in jail, buddy. Good luck. But with that, we're going to do, let's see, there it is. We're going to take a little look at a little bright spot. Kind of mentioned this earlier, and you know, everybody turn your head sideways because I can't flip this screen. This was at Huntsville. Just about, here we go. I gotta go this way. We just about circled the whole park.
Yeah, Rachel Maddow talked about the protests in Huntsville. So we made Rachel Maddow.
Oh, listen to that. Did she show video?
I don't know if she showed that video, but
yeah, we're getting together, folks, and we talked that day. We talked a lot about unionization. We sang some, in there. We sang "Solidarity Forever," which I got in on the chorus on that because I don't know all the verses. I'm gonna have to see. I'm gonna have to find that Rachel Maddow clip. I'm curious now. But yeah, people are paying attention, and like I said, there is about estimated around 5 million people were out that day, and hey, just getting started. There's another protest coming up on the 19th. I think up here we're trying to make it a mutual aid day and try to get organizations to come, and then people bring stuff to donate or monies to donate to them. But we're also looking out for May 1st, International Workers Day, May Day, and there'll be another nationwide protest that day as well. So we got we got organizing to do. I encourage y'all to find roles to fill, like marshaling, like firefighter, like medic, like being a gopher on the day of, learning how to do a speech. Uh, there's plenty of ways to help. You don't want to make a speech, you a quiet type. There's other things to do. Making signs, just spreading the word. There's all kinds of ways to help, and beyond just the rallies and the marches, there's actions to take afterwards, which is building your local mutual aid networks, organizing students, tenants, and workers. There's getting into electoralism and working class taking power that way. There's performing direct action and reading about that stuff. There's, for instance, we had a book club around here, started as a book club, reading Mutual Aid by Dean. Daggum, I can't remember their name, but started with a little reading group, and now they're going from theory into praxis on executing a mutual aid network here in our area. And there's spokes councils to build, which spokes councils are an organization of organizations where all these disparate, siloed uh, organizations can come together in one spot and discuss strategy and tactics and massing on events and actions to take. So these are the things the working class has to do to exercise their power. And I'm trying to push in the state, trying to get folks to look at doing weekly economic blackouts. And I'm thinking, we're looking at maybe Sundays, trying to do weekly economic blackouts. Hopefully that spreads. They did a little bit of it in March, and it seems to have died off some, but hopefully we'll get our act together and get a nice little flyer going and start doing weekly economic blackouts on Sundays. We're looking at Fridays, but Fridays folks get their paycheck and they need to purchase some goods because that's the way the world works. So hopefully that gets done. But with that, folks, Jason, you got anything else you want to highlight before we go?
Not really. I don't think so.
All right. AP, you got anything you'd like to say before we go?
Well, first off, thank you guys again so much for having me on. It means a ton. Also, how can we get involved with the mutual aid day? Is there anything we can do to help?
You know what? Hit me up offline and I will get you in contact with one of our organizers who's one of the ones leading the way on that.
That would be great. Is Discord the best way to contact you?
It's yeah, probably. At least for now. Between texts and Signal and Discord and God, I'm supposed to be on WhatsApp too. Like, yeah, just hit me up on Discord and we'll get you squared away, dog.
Thank you.
But with that, folks, we appreciate you being here. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Help us spread the word of, decency in this country, in this world, and help us out against all the algorithms that put us down. I'd just like to say all the power to all the people. We break our chains together. Solidarity forever, y'all.
Solidarity forever.